while we're sitting here determining what this fish is going to do. So where I'm fishing at here, I know you can't see out there because it's dark. Probably about 50 to 75 yards off the bank here is a trough. I have some cedar trees right here about 50 yards from me, and the bank comes out. Well, it's about 3 foot of water where those cedar trees are. But right on the edge of those cedar trees, it starts dropping off. Within 25 yards or so, it drops from 3 foot to about 30 foot. Probably not that. It's probably 25 yards. Might be 15 yards. It's a pretty good ledge there. Out here, where I'm fishing at, is a flat. Now, why am I fishing a flat? And what is a flat? So a flat is essentially just an area where there's minimal amount of drop and rise. What happens is at night, the catfish comes out of their holes and out of the structure, and they run these flats looking for food. Well, directly across the lake from me is some holes, and those holes are about 30 to 40 foot deep, and there's a channel that runs through there. So basically what I'm doing is, and I'm fishing under a light, which a light draws bait. Catfish don't really like light, so what they'll do is they'll be right outside of the light line where the light's hitting the water, so I cast just outside of that into that flat. And there's a boat ramp here. There's a dock, and there's a boat ramp. Well, at the end of that boat ramp, it's about 8 foot, just right there. So this is it's a ledge, and then it's a flat, and those fish will come up, and this is a structure. It's close to the bank, and it holds bait. You can come out here and throw a cast net most any time and catch shad, bluegill, shiners, bottom minnows. I mean, it holds bait, and the bass comes in here and they just wear out the shad. Well, the dead shad, stuff like that, the bass don't eat, ends up on the bottom. So they're coming up, and this is a normal feeding area for them. Don't mean every time I come here I'm going to catch fish. Normally I catch 3 to 5 decent sized fish and a good many small ones. But tonight's been relatively decent. Not real big fish and not a whole lot of them, but I've had a good time doing it. So what does catfish do at night? At night, they come out of their holes. When they come out of their holes, they start feeding. You can about judge, and it's like they'll work an area and then they'll come in a little bit. They'll work an area and then they come in a little bit. And eventually they'll feed right on the bank. I know when most folks go fishing from the bank, they want to cast as far out in the lake as they can. And when folks are fishing in a boat, they want to get as close to the bank as they can. But what I do is I look at the times, look at what their feeding times are, and then I'll put one close and I'll stack them in different depths and different lengths from the bank. And what that does is, if a fish is coming through 20 yards from the bank, there's a bait there that's putting off scent that he can pick up on. If he's 40 yards, again, there's a bait there. 50 yards, 60 yards, and normally I use 5 rods, and I put them out just like that. Now, sometimes once I determine where they're in the area where they're traveling at, then I'll try to position all my baits in a line. That way, when they school, and a school comes through, they'll hit multiple rods at one time. Or you have an option of doubling up or catching multiple fish when the school comes through. That's the thing about bait fishing, is a lot of times you're not going to be able to go chase your fish. So it's a waiting game to see when the school comes back through. Now, you will catch loner fish, but a lot of times with channel cat, they're schooling. If you catch one, it's a pretty good bet. You might want to try to put one relatively the same location that you caught the last one, because there's probably another one coming through right there, or was there with him. Now, here's my opinion about hooks. If you're out fishing for monsters, then go with a bigger hook. But a hook about that size right there, I mean, it's just a lot of folks use these for crappie fishing. These are pretty good. They're Eagle Claw. And I don't think I've ever had one straighten a hook out on me. And I've caught some 25, 30-pound fish on this hook. And I've never really had any issues with them straightening them, because as long as you let your drag and you fight the fish and don't try to hoist the fish in and be delicate on the fish, you don't really have to worry about straightening your hook out. Granted, if you're fishing for stripers, if you're fishing for something like that, man, those things are going to take off running, and they're going to run hard. And you about have to just slow that fish down. Normally a catfish, they're not going to run that hard. So most of the time they'll run a little ways, and then they'll start slowing down, and then you can turn them. You know, that's my opinion on hooks. Now, do I use some 8/0, 10/0, 12/0 circle hooks? Yeah, I do. And that's when I'm fishing with live bait, live bluegill. Now, I haven't even put on a live bait tonight. If they're being this picky on cut bait, the small ones aren't even really messing with nothing. And the bigger ones, they're hitting. They wouldn't hit any big cut bait. I didn't think they'd probably go for something live because of the size of brim that I have. But so I went smaller. It seemed to pay off a little bit. But I'm gonna give these fish probably another 20 or 30 minutes. If I ain't picked nothing up, I think I'm gonna go crawl in bed with the kids. If nothing else happens, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out with a thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for sticking around with me. I want to thank the good Lord for allowing me to come out here and catch these fish, and it's been a good night. I've had fun. Thank y'all for watching again, and you know how it is. If the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see y'all in the next one.